You're listening to the Life Coaching Secrets Podcast, episode 174. Did you know that life coaches are needed now more than ever? I'm Frank Macri, founder of Thriving Coach Academy. I've trained over 1,000 coaches and helped them launch their own successful coaching businesses. If you want to make an incredible income and impact as a coach and have a lot of fun doing it, I'll show you exactly how to get it done. This is Life Coaching Secrets. What's up, coaches? In this episode, I have a special gift for you. I went back into the vault of previously recorded episodes on this show, and I went way back a few years ago and found one episode that I wanted to re-release and present to you again today. It is one of my favorite episodes on this podcast, and it's going to transform the way you understand success and failure. So this is one you definitely don't want to miss. Here it is, and enjoy. In this episode, I'm going to teach you how to choose your failure in life, which I know probably sounds a little bit bizarre, but hang with me. I'm going to reveal to you how to overcome a fear of failure. If you've ever struggled with that, maybe you have a big goal or dream and you're worried that it's going to crash and burn, it won't work out. I'm going to bust through that fear with you in this episode. I think you're really going to love what I have in store. Before I get into this topic, I want to give a big shout out to one of the coaches I have had the privilege to mentor over the past couple of years. Her name is Mylene, and she surpassed $100,000 this year in her coaching business, and she's on track to earn somewhere between $150,000 and $200,000 for the year. A little bit about Mylene. She used to work a very demanding corporate job as an executive and was working at times 50, 60 hours a week, and completely quit her corporate job and is now a full-time executive coach. And what's really touching and I think inspiring about Mylene's story is how she's been able to not just become more available for her two young kids because she's working much less hours, but she's also being an example to her family of what's possible and what it really looks like to go after your dreams. So Mylene's story is super inspiring. You could go listen to her share it more on our website if you want to hear more. I know, Mylene, you listen to the podcast, so so proud of you, kudos, and this is truly just the beginning. Okay, so let's go into the topic at hand, which is about choosing your failure. So when I work with clients and they share with me their goals, it's quite common that there will eventually come up the conversation around failure, the fear around failure, the worry that things won't work out. And what I say to that is, yes, the truth is you are going to fail. That is guaranteed. You are absolutely going to fail on the way to achieving your goal. But the thing is, this is the failure that you want to experience in life, because we are all failing in some way in our lives. So it's not a question of how do we not fail? How do we avoid failure? The question is, are we having the failure that we want to experience? So I'm going to share with you in this episode how you can know the different types of failure in life and how to accumulate the failures that are going to serve you, how to be intentional about the failures that you want. Now, the secret to a fulfilling life is to fail outwardly and succeed inwardly. Fail outwardly, I call it an outward failure and an inward success. This is the good kind of failure. This is the path to fulfillment. So for some of you, as I dive into this episode might be a huge sigh of relief, because you might lift this burden off your shoulders and realize, oh, I'm failing in the way that I'm supposed to be failing, the good kind of failure. For others listening to this episode might be a wake-up call for you to start living the life that you know you are born to live. Okay, so the failure that you experience, what I want you to take away more than anything is that the failure that you experience in the pursuit of creating the life of your dreams is always worth it. I'll say that again. The failure that you experience in the pursuit of creating the life of your dreams is always worth it. Okay? So, the two types of failure that you can experience, I call them good failure and bad failure. So, good failure is when you have outward failure and inward success. Bad failure is when you have inward failure and outward success. So I'll explain really the signs of both and how to deal with them. So let's start with the good kind of failure, which is outward failure, okay? So you're failing outwardly in your life. Okay, so this is the kind of failure that you want. This means that you know deep down that you are on the path that you were born to be on. You are pursuing your calling. So inwardly, you feel fulfilled. Okay, you have this deep sense of satisfaction with the path you're on in your life. But outwardly, you're having lots of mistakes. You're messing lots of things up. This is wonderful to have this type of experience. This is the type of failure you want. So for example, if you are a coach, you've got your business that you're launching, and let's say that you make an offer at the end of a workshop or a webinar, and no one signs up for it, right? You might think, oh gosh, this is so terrible, I failed. But remember, right? You are pursuing your dreams. You are creating the business that you know you were born to create. You're doing the work you know that you are called to do. So this is the kind of failure you want. It's an outward failure, but inwardly, you know you're on the right path. So inwardly, you have that success. So it's like, oh, I made an offer. No one signed up. This is the failure I want to have anyway. Remember, you could have not made an offer at all. You could have not launched a business at all. You could have decided to stay in that job where you were feeling drained and underappreciated and undervalued. So it's so much better to take this failure than be experiencing that one. So how do you handle this good kind of failure when you're failing outwardly, but inwardly you know you're on the right path? It's so important to surround yourself with a supportive community. So other movers and shakers, other people who are pursuing their calling, putting themselves out there, making an impact, being leaders. Okay, you want to surround yourself and find a community where you could be amongst other people that are like that. Okay, do not underestimate the power of community. The other thing you want to do when you're experiencing this outward failure is remind yourself why you are doing what you are doing. So what is this all really about? Why is this path that you're on important to you, right? What is it that's driving you right now? When you have this type of clarity, it gets your commitment so solid because your vision becomes very clear. You know the goal behind your goal. And it's so compelling to you that it makes all of those outward failures just little speed bumps along the way. So they no longer become these big roadblocks. They're just little speed bumps you blaze right through. The other thing you want to do when you experience outward failure is see what lessons you can learn from those failures. So every single failure, it's leaving you a clue that's going to bring you closer to where you want to be, right? So I know a lot of coaches and aspiring coaches are listening to this podcast. So if you are launching your business, you're growing it, then you might do certain things that don't yield you results at the very beginning, right? You might, for example, post something on social media and hope that it's going to get you clients, and then it doesn't. And you might think, oh, well, I failed. When really, every action you take is meaningful and valuable, right? You can extract lessons from every single one. So every failure you have, it's like a trail of breadcrumbs that's bringing you closer and closer to where you want to be. So it's important for you to look for the lessons in all of the actions that you take. So it keeps you moving forward. It feels like everything, every step, literally everything that you do is a stepping stone. It's moving you up until you get to where you want to be. And the last thing to keep in mind whenever you have outward failure, but you're experiencing that inward success, is knowing that just because you experience failure doesn't mean that you are a failure, Just because you experience failure doesn't mean you are a failure as a human being, okay? So those are some ways to understand how to deal with an outward failure while having that inward success. Remember, this is the good failure. This is what you want to acquire. You want to acquire a lot of outward failures, knowing that you're on the right track. Now let's talk about the bad failure. This might be the part where some of you get a little bit of a wake-up call. So the bad failure is when you're having inward failure, but outward success. Okay, so what does that look like? You might have a lot of success on the outside in your life. Maybe you have a lot of praise and recognition that you get from others for your accomplishments, but they don't carry much meaning for you. You feel unfulfilled inside. You know deep down that you are capable of more. You feel like you're not living to your potential. You might have this experience of going through the motions and you wonder, is this really all? Is this really all that there is for my life? So outwardly, you're very successful, but inwardly, you feel this hole. You feel this failure. Now, this can be debilitating and it can be very draining, and it often leads to guilt and regret. So this is the type of failure that we really want to get rid of, okay? It's the bad failure. So how do you deal with it? The first thing you need to do is get honest with yourself. Have an honest conversation with yourself and consider that if nothing were to change in a year from now, what would that be like for you? If nothing were to change, you kept going on the path that you're on, doing what you're doing, with the people that you're with, what would that be like for you? And also, what is it costing you to play small? Because you know that there's a part of you that is yearning to experience life in a bigger way. You know that there's gifts inside you that you want to share. So what's it costing you to not be sharing those and play small? What's the real impact that it's having on you? Get clear about that. Maybe it's this feeling like you know that you have so much more to offer to the world, right? And you know that you are not being the example that you want to be for others. You know that you have so much more potential, but you're not living to it. And another question to ask yourself to adjust your life if you're stuck in this type of way of being right now is, why is it okay for you to want more? Why is it okay for you to want more? Now, a lot of times when people have this outward success, but this inward failure, they think, well, my life's already good. I'm going to put quotations around good because it's not really good. It just looks good on the outside. So why is it okay for you to want more? Okay, sometimes there's this guilt that people feel because my life's already, quote, good. So who am I to want more? Why should I want more? I should be more appreciative or grateful for what I have. So a lot of these beliefs can be very limiting and cause people to stay stuck. So what you've got to do if you're in this space is ask yourself, why is it okay for you to want more? Right? And you can just simply give a simple answer to this, right? It's okay for you to want more because you're a human being and you're allowed to have any desire you want to have. Right? It's your birthright to want more, because when you can show up in a bigger way, you get to shine that light for others. You get to awaken possibility for them. You get to be an example for other people around you. You get to increase the impact that you have. You get to see all it is that you can create in this life. And then the final question to ask yourself is, why is now the time? Why is now the best time? Now, your fearful brain is always going to produce reasons why you should wait, why you should hold off. Your brain can be very sneaky at this. Oh, just check in on this. You could quit this job in a year from now. Just wait till things get a little more comfortable. Or just give it another year and maybe things will get better, right? Your brain's going to try to convince you in many different ways to hold off, to postpone, to wait for the right time, even though there's no such thing. So you've got to come up with a convincing argument for why now is the right time, Why is now the time for you to make a change? So let me go through those questions again. In summary, this is for those of you that have the bad type of failure. So you're inwardly experiencing this sense of failure and emptiness, but outwardly your life is successful. So you're successful but unfulfilled. So the questions are, if nothing changed in a year, what would that be like for you? What is it costing you to play small? Why is it okay for you to want more? And why is now the time? Those questions are going to transform your life. Now, I want to end by saying that your dreams, they don't leave you alone. So if you are experiencing this bad failure, then I invite you to consider that, those dreams that you have, they're not just going to disappear. You're not going to wake up and suddenly all those dreams that you had have just dissipated and gone away. They don't leave you alone. They keep showing up. Signs keep coming to you. You keep getting these signals from the universe and God, whatever it is you believe in, you're going to keep getting nudges to go follow your dreams and go for it. And those signs and those whispers, they get louder and louder and louder until finally you realize that really this is the one life that you have to live. So check in with yourself. What kind of failure are you experiencing in your life right now? How are you failing in your life? Okay? We all are experiencing failure, but is it the failure that you want to have? You want to choose the failure that serves you. So if you are inwardly succeeding and outwardly failing, I encourage you to continue failing and fail hard. All right? If you're inwardly succeeding and you're outwardly failing, so inwardly you're on your path, you're calling, you're honoring your mission in this world, and outwardly you're falling down, you're making mistakes, you're fumbling through, right? Keep going. The more epic your failures, the more epic your successes are going to be. Keep going. Stay on the train. Surround yourself with a supportive community that can uplift you those moments that you fall down. And if you're outwardly succeeding, but inwardly you are failing, so if you're successful on the outside, but very unfulfilled on the inside, I encourage you to honor what you really want and know that you deserve that. And I encourage you to say yes to you and that voice inside you that's nudging you to take that leap. And I encourage you to make today the day that you double down on your dreams and go all in. That's what I got on this episode on choosing your failure. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey, would you like access to powerful coaching tools you can use on yourself and clients right away? For being a listener of the podcast, I'm giving you a VIP guest pass to get a sneak peek into my coach training program. Inside, you'll learn our coaches' secret tool they use to transform their clients' lives. And you'll also get a training on how to launch a coaching business. Just head over to www.thrivingcoachacademy.com/VIP to get started. I'll see you on the inside.